Second time we'll be seeing Team Freedom post the Western Clash, but it was clear when they faced Roll20 that something hit them hard. It was either the Roll20 hype train or maybe the emergency brakes being pulled after the Western Clash, but they did lose 3-0 to Roll20, and now there's a lot of momentum coming in behind the members of Lag Force.
Lag Force is on an absolute tear right now. Another element of surprise we have to consider when going, how good is Team Freedom is up against Roll20. That was the first week Garrosh was implemented, and Roll20 was comfortable picking up the Garrosh every single game. But I think we've learned Garrosh is good. Maybe not that good, though. So it was pretty apparent that Roll20 is, the most successful team so far in North America. But Lag Force, with the momentum that they gained here, it is still, can they take a game off Team Freedom?
Well, let's look at the standings, because with that win from Superstars, they have tied in wins with Lag Force. But it's a close one. Superstars are currently sitting up over Lag Force, but again, it comes down to how many matches have been played, and it's really not going to be until the very end now, unless Lag Force can get an actual series win off of somebody, or if Superstars can do the same. This would be one place for that. Team Freedom are still sitting in the third place, but Space Station and Tempo Storm are creeping up on them ever so slightly.
One positive sign for Team Freedom is the fact that because they are down one series into Tempo Storm and Space Station, if they are successful here with Lag Force, they can just get that bump up and not in that. A step farther away from them, and to be a, one win separate between the two, and to be even in games, that is a really big thing to be able to claim for yourself when looking at the top half of the bracket, especially those 1 and 2 slots, knowing that those teams, in fact, do not need to compete in our ladder system that we have to determine what 3 teams will represent us at the HGC finals.
Yeah, it's obvious that there was something happening to Team Freedom, and if it was that it's the first time that they went to an international stage, it may have just been that they weren't quite ready, weren't aware of what to expect when you come back to your own region. We've seen lots of teams struggle with it, and the nice thing for them is that their schedule is such that they only had 1 series last weekend, and they only had 1 series this weekend, so they have the time necessary to adjust. Let's hear from players from both of these teams about this matchup.
The biggest thing last week was, I don't know if we were prepared for their drafting, like the Garrosh Crummy, and I think that caught us off guard. And yeah, I think it just blindsided us. But then after that, we learned from it. Like, I think we're learning a lot from their drafting style and the way they played. And I think after going 0-3 against them, I think we actually got a lot stronger. Going against Lag F, I'm not really sure what to expect from them, since it seems they're either going to be really tilted and unable to win a game, and then, like last week, they won 2 series in a row. So I don't really know where they're at. It's like, maybe they came out of their slump, maybe they didn't, and they're just getting lucky. But I just think we shouldn't underestimate them, and we should be fine and get a clean 3-0.
Team Freedom's kind of the same, where they have this own meta that they like to play in regards to like Diva and stuff like that. So I feel like if we can try to negate their power picks, we should be able to win. Just in general, we've tried to increase the morale, no like depression or negativity in games. And I feel like it's had a pretty big impact on the team, because a lot of what we're based on is morale. So the fact that we feel like we can win is already a big step in trying to win. If we just all try our hardest and we try and put 100% in these games, I feel like we have a pretty good chance to win.
Talking point for both Dansky and Tomster is the mentality of Naventic. Plain and simple, a strategy versus Naventic in the old days, before they were the team of Lag Force as they are now, was to try to tilt them. And now, yes, Lag Force came in and had 2 dominant wins versus Space Station. Well, a dominant one there, not so dominant, but very close over Superstars, but they still got it. But versus Roll20 yesterday, that was their first loss. It was a 3-0. It wasn't, maybe 3-0 doesn't do it justice. Even Justine tweeted that. They had some standout moments of trying to come back into the games, but it was still a 3-0. So I think all eyes are on Lag Force, and are they actually able to come back from a difficult loss immediately into the next day and perform at the same consistent level?
Also, when looking at the top of North America, there are 2 teams that are attributed with being niche playstyles, their own playstyle, that they are the ones that project their identity onto the compositions rather than kind of the other way around. Team Freedom is one of them, and Roll20 is the other. And so it is a little bit interesting, because because then you would auto-assume that direct results against a team of Roll20 would translate to that of Team Freedom. But if their powers are dead even, right, we assume that their power levels are equal. But we know that we can't really kind of view it that way, and it's also whether or not the difference in the playstyles are so severe that you're more prone to having success against Roll20 than you would into a team like Team Freedom. That being said, I do feel like Team Freedom's youth is a huge disadvantage in the series when it comes to that diversity in playstyle. Roll20 always has old school versions of strategies that they can rely on and go to. The Stitches Diva fling, coming out here from the members of Team Freedom, that is the biggest thing that they can, pull out of the back pocket here. And let's be honest, that is not old enough nor niche enough to really catch the members of LagF off guard. So suddenly, with that thought process, the comparison of the two against one another, it's far better for LagF against Team Freedom than that of Roll20.
But if they picked something up from Roll20, it could be not necessarily a Stitches Diva, but a Garrosh Diva. We'll have to see if maybe they're going to pull out that strategy, which has worked for Roll20. We're getting into the Battleground bans and picks. We've got Braxis hold out the standard ban for Lag Force. Team Freedom, we're going to ban Battlefield of Eternity, another standard for them. They do deviate from that, but that is generally the norm. And Lag Force has chosen Infernal Shrines. Initial thoughts, Dread?
The Infernal Shrines pick up for the members of Lag Force. They have to feel satisfied. The getting able to play one of their two favorite maps for their opening game, but losing Battlefield of Eternity, I feel like, is a bit of concern if you're a Lag Force member fan. These guys need to be on any map that they can feel overly comfortable on, and we know that that sits at their 1 and 2 right behind Infernal Shrine. So, bit of, a sadness for Lag Force there, but Freedom's kicking this draft off on Shrines with a Genji ban.
Genji ban. Do Lag Force take away Tassadar here? Tassadar has been a focus in a lot of bans for the members of Lag Force, if not TAS, then a few Medivhs here and there, but those were all versus Roll20. Granted, Team Freedom so far, the 3 games they played versus Roll20 have all been Team Freedom's own flair of a double support composition. This includes a Tassadar, this includes Medivh for Dansky, or this includes an Abathur. In this case, the ban on Medivh offers up a tasty Tassadar for Team Freedom.
Offers the tasty Tassadar, but also, maybe the appealing Abathur for the members of Lag Force, as it is still left up. It's a slow map, one where you can rely on the later stages of the game happening. The 16 and 20 talent tiers achieved for both sides, so suddenly the Abathur could be that much more appealing for Lag Force, something I would assume them commit to here, but yes, the TAS Tracer has to be kind of lingering in the back of their minds right now. And to be frank, I don't feel like there is a world where they raw Tracer and kind of try and take that as a denying form here over Team Freedom.
Another combo, deadly duo for Lag Force that has been popping up more and more is the Lunara and Dahaka. Dahaka, if not Abathur, as a way of potentially making sure that they can continue up their global soak. But Chromie coming in.
Still a really high priority on the Chromie. I'm a bit caught off guard by the Chromie priority. Not for LagF here, I guess, in general, but it's more of the consistency that she is as a pick throughout all of North America now. She has gotten to the point where we see her on almost any map before the secondary ban phase even comes through. Before the opponents show any indication of running dominant laning circumstances or struggling into the damage source that she provides. So I'm not even sitting here saying, I dislike it. It's more of I am surprised at the rise of it, and I'm failing to provide, a justification for that trend throughout all of NA.
Yeah, Lag Force hasn't been maybe so prevailing with the common Chromie pickups here in this rotation as a lot of other teams, but they did do it on Dragonshire in the same spot, but it generally is in this second pick position in this first 2 picks that a second pick team is able to get. But they still have Rhaegar too. We talked about his wave clear and his shrine clear. Team Freedom bring back Stitches. I wondered if we would see them bring him back. They didn't play him in any of their first series versus Roll20, but Zugrug very confident on that Stitches, and they'll have Vala to go along with the Tassadar.
This for me feels a bit of Team Freedom maybe after their performance against Roll20, not feeling too hot and going a bit more comfortable. The Vala, we talked about the out of date that it feels like sitting before the secondary ban phase outside of the case of being on maps like BOE. The Stitches, a little bit of the same as the fact that he has really not shown up too frequently throughout all of phase number 2 for North America, but still here for Freedom. It's one of those, I don't mind it. It's not like those are bad picks by any means, and also Team Freedom has been overly successful, again, with the Stitches like you were talking about. It just feels when things got bad, what do? Go to your comfort, always. And Freedom's a team that is very much displaying that here.
What do Freedom want to ban now from Lag Force? Potentially a warrior up in front. If they're going to add Illidan with their Volatas, maybe Ariel. We'll have to see on that one.
I think my biggest fear would be a Malthael, is the hero I am most scared of if I was the members of Team Freedom. On a map where the side lane are going to be impactful and Malthael's priority rising overall, but then on the Shrine itself, he has a pretty reliable initiation. Stitches has a target he doesn't want to hook because it can get the counter and momentum into a fight. And a double support, neither are going to thrive into that AoE poke. We're going to find out. Greymane's the choice. Still strong damage dealer and accenting the map. So.
Yeah. Team Freedom has had some of the highest Greymane focus of any of the teams too. They picked him or banned him at the very beginning of every draft versus Rule 20. It was Rule 20, so the very early first ban of Greymane makes sense versus them, but still banning him here as a way of limiting the shrine control that Lag Force can have.
So now, where do we see Lag Force go in terms of their picks? I still do feel like the Malthael might be something that they want to pick up for themselves. The composition that Team Freedom is picking is, again, a bit older. So I feel like Lag Force isn't forced into anything. It's more of, what does Lag Force want to do? What direction do they think is the best way to approach a map like Infernal Shrines? I'm trying to look at some of the things they've displayed in the past, and nothing stands out. Again, Malthael Greymane style compositions. Medivh has been flexed for them, which has been new. But all these things are off the table.
There's
so the Malthael and a
Tyrael.
Tyrael.
Don't know that I expected to see Malthael and Tyrael on the same side of a battlefield.
Don't know if I mind seeing them on the same side of the battlefield.
I don't.
Feels a little bit like, you know, we're missing that consistent damage dealer overall that Lag Force is going to want to have for themselves. And the only ones that really kind of meet that sustained DPS and the way that maybe they would like to are going to either be the awkward kind of Arthas, where you feel like, oh, in the long run, you're going to lack in the damage because Arthas is your only consistent DPS. But if you go to a backliner, you feel like you can't. The Malthael plus the Tyrael don't have enough sustain on their own. They aren't really beefy. Tyrael is probably one of the squishiest main warriors, if not the squishiest main warrior in the entire game. And Malthael by far is like one of the squishier solo laners to exist.
Final two picks for Team Freedom. We're still waiting on Collusion's heroes, the supports Lucio, and they do still get their Illidan.
That Lucio. I want a false stat with Hinterland's Blast this game. I know that's sounds like I'm memeing, but I'm not. Lucio, just Judgment one shot. Just don't even give him the time of day. You didn't pick a cleanse, I'm not going to play into your game. I'm done. That's why I love Tyrael so very much. Anytime you fail to pick the cleanse, he's like, all right, I'll in you. If you want to pick the sustain fight, he's like, well, I've got an AoE Divine Shield. So which one do you want to answer? It's the lesser of two evils here. You don't have to go into the Hinterland's Blast, but I wouldn't mind to see abuse of the lack of cleanse on the side of Team Freedom now.
I think Falstad was already a probable pick for Lag Force, given who they have drafted so far. Chromie, probably Biggie's hero, although they could switch things up. I think it's Zarya.
Zarya with Feel the Heat. If this is Q build, I'm going to be a bit concerned, but if it is Feel the Heat, it's got a lot of AoE shielding, a lot of siege potential early on. It's going to force the hand of the members of Team Freedom. The Malthael does not too well into the 1v1, but it's not poor. This is going to be really interesting laning situation. I can tell you that much. When it comes to the non-shrine fighting aspects of Infernal Shrines, this game is going to be fun to watch as long as it's on even footing. But I don't know how long it's going to do that. How long will it take for Team Freedom to kind of pull ahead? And then how much are we going to see Lag Force take out in terms of structures and front walls in their laning situation? Because they pick the high Chromie, which is more defensive, but then you pick the late game Zarya, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, Zarya is probably the highest siege potential hero starting at level 1, as long as you take Feel the Heat, because you do hit through multiple targets, and multiple targets get the Feel the Heat value, which means you're essentially hitting a sidewall, a turret, a main wall, and at the very end, the other turret for either full value of your auto attack or, in fact, the bonus 50% you get through Feel the Heat, which turns out to be a lot when you're wearing those shields at about 100% charge.
Well, even if Team Freedom gets ahead in the early game, I was so floored by LagForce's ability to make the right decisions and understand where they absolutely needed, to step ahead to get back into the game. Whether they were down talent tier, sometimes they would fight. They were out there before heroic abilities. At times, they were out there before 16s. They're just very comfortable, and sometimes even would be able to win those fights, maybe just on the surprise factor alone over Roll20. We'll see if they do the same here or if they can try to get that early lead with Zarya. But we're heading into game number 1 on Infernal Shrines between Freedom and LagForce.
In the blue is going to be LagForce, where Zuna is on the Tyrael. We have Big Impact playing Chromie. Tomster's on the Rhaegar, B-Kid's on that Malthael, and last we have iDream on Zarya.
And he'll be feeling the heat. Team Freedom in the red, Collusion playing the Lucio, zipping around the battleground. Zugrug playing his Stitches. Kure will be playing Illidan. Dainsky on his Tassadar, and finally Vala will be played by Nasmus.
2-1-2 seems to be the laning choice that LagForce wants to unfold, or at least that is what they're conveying so far as they stomp their way out here. Team Freedom has got a laning situation, a 1-2-2, more focus on stopping the bleeding, but I do think it was reasonable to assume that the members of LagForce would commit to this laning situation, even a 1-1-3, again, because of that Zarya's presence that she displays. Having the Chromie and Rhaegar together makes the most sense. Anytime you do want to run a 2-1-2 of your own, if you are playing in an open division team, you're playing on a team that you like to scrim with in Team League, I don't really know. Whatever case it is, you want one of them to have wave clear, the other one to have sustain. As long as you have those two elements and the most survivable one can sit into the mid, which is why you see Tyrael there, that is the most ideal way to approach, and why LagForce is doing what they're doing here in the laning.
And why Team Freedom made the adjustment of sending Tassadar to the top once they noticed where Zarya and Malthael were hanging out. So we've got the double warrior of Stitches and Tyrael in the mid. We're going to have some rotations coming in from Nasmus and Collusion. Boops Zuna back slightly, but not speeding in a way that he can boop him in for some extra damage.
We also didn't even talk about the fact that we might be able to find no slowing sands as an attempt to be able to deal with the lack of cleanse. You know, not even talking about the Judgment hyper-focus all-in burst. There are still a lot of other avenues
like
that
temporal.
the members of LagForce can go. The temporal loop was, I mean, the first hero to be picked solely with the indication of directly countering the lack of cleanse on the other side of the table was Chromie. Other than Tyrande post-nerf meta, blah-de-blah-de-blah, and the ins and outs of her over time, it really was Chromie. So it makes sense that she would be, you know, the one venturing out into that realm here in this game if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, the only thing with that is there isn't a lot of follow-up after the fact. You'd have to maybe burn Expulsion Zone as a body block or a Holy Ground later on with Tyrael.
You forgot about last rites, that's going to have them dead anyway.
Totally,
Skilly.
there it is, that's exactly it. And if it's not Lucio who gets temporaled in, Lucio himself can wall ride and speed away, but he can also go in and help speed away whoever is temporaled. But that is definitely an option for LagForce. We'll keep our eyes on.
Kure's making stuff happen here over this.
So
it
is
actually gets
Zugrug.
hooked right back in. That is Kure and the members of Team Freedom finding first blood in this game. Skeletal Defender lead is rather significant after that. Pulling ahead now 13, 15, and more. The first Punisher of the game is going over to Team Freedom. No experience lost. LagForce has to find a way to, you know, cut the loss here more than just the front wall. We always know we can assume this first Punisher of the game traditionally is a front wall.
LagForce, when we've seen them on Infernal Shrines in the past, they have been hesitant to give up shrines, even when it's obvious that they're probably going to lose it. Granted, that worked out for them very well versus Roll20 at the 13 mark when they absolutely needed to win the fight there. They did, and they got the Punisher. In this case, though, immediately upon recognizing that they had lost their Malthael, they cut their losses. They headed straight in to get a mercenary camp in the mid to try to help them out with that. They've only lost the front wall, and they're about a half level down in experience. They went back to the lanes. We've seen LagForce have so much focus on the macro game in the way that they're drafting and the way that they're playing. And it feels like every series they get more and more competent and fluid with that focus.
And I mean, it makes a lot of sense when you consider that the macro game comes before the team fighting. Even though we are a brawler, whatever you want to give the name for heroes, it is one of the more action-packed of the genre. But it really does matter. The minions are the first things to touch the battleground. Before you can look at the heroes, you have to be able to manipulate them, manipulate the experience gain, because that is the most valuable resource, and the structures are the things providing those for everybody. I did want to highlight the adjustment for iDream at level 4 on that Zarya, going into the defensive shielding between the auto attacks of the Illidan and Valda being the primary damage source. It's going to be an attempt to reduce that damage output for not just, you know, Zarya, all the members of Lag Force.
Yeah, but how does that work with Tassadar?
In terms of, does it stop Tassadar?
Wouldn't it just bust through it really fast?
Yeah. So, because Tassadar's auto attacks essentially move more faster.
Yeah.
Because Tassadar, though he doesn't auto attack, depending on which build you go, he auto attacks faster and goes into essentially Tychus mode, which rids of your defensive shielding stacks very quickly. I mean, you are correct, yes, if he is full channeling the auto attacks, but the defensive shielding is not 100% uptime. It's only after the burial is dropped, and even then, it's just a nice way to stop if Valo or Illidan are going to be a major problem.
Yeah,
and
definitely Illidan.
And I assume Illidan, you know, Kira is going to be a bigger problem.
He generally is to just about everybody he plays against.
You know, yeah, not just on the Illidan. Really just if Kira is in fact playing Heroes of the Storm, all the North American Hero League players have felt it. North American professional scene has felt it. But right now, Lag Force is the team feeling it, as they need to make something happen. Closing on tens is going to be Team Freedom pretty quickly here, especially if they get this Punisher. This is a must-win Punisher for Lag Force.
Stepping on to the Shrine, but Team Freedom have a healthy Skeletal Defender lead. And they are further ahead in experience. It's not so far that they are within eye line of having heroic abilities, so Lag Force can feel comfortable standing in here and dropping the Chromie bombs, hoping to start softening up those health bars of Team Freedom.
Biggie's doing his best right now, throwing out that sand. Zuna's the focus, it seems like, for Team Freedom. But now Kira's going to be going in. He got himself a shield. He got the heals. B-Kid getting the pressure. iDream falling very low, but with no personal shield. Actually, that hook coming out from Zufrug, bobbing and weaving through the members of Black Force. Tomster was the focus, but Zuna was the kill. Very well done. Team Freedom here is just turning up, and now with that small victory, the 2 kills, they have a full lead, Gilly. The Punisher's going to be coming in soon too. I mean, what do you do if you're Lag Force?
Man, I was just watching Cure. He was back and forth everywhere in that fight. In the Shrine, back out, killing someone, going forward, taking them out, going back, getting the Skeletal Defenders, and with the wall down, this will hop right on top of the fort. Defending this is iffy. Lag Force realized that, not having heroic abilities. They've got some hanging around, but it's just about giving up the fort. Just defend at the keep wall when you can bait it over, and otherwise get back out in the lanes and get heroics.
Lag Force is about to get level 9. You know, I hate to break down Heroes of the Storm to the simplest form, but for anybody who doesn't know, that means no heroics still. That is a level away. And if any of them venture out too far, it is almost 100% Cure sets that little crosshair over their head, turns on the hunt, and the members of Team Freedom are going to light up. The keep is now the focus.
He hasn't jumped yet. That small wall focus, so ridiculously cool from Team Freedom. Now Kira's gonna go in, start pressuring. There goes the jump.
Bait over, coming out from Zuna. No 10 still. The keep falls, now below 66% HP. Kira's tanking from the side turret. He got himself the shield. First keep of the game goes down 7 minutes and 25 seconds in. Zuna's getting aggressive, but there's still no heroics. Lag Force get punished so effectively through this early game. Team Freedom here, again, we talked about the cross comparisons. Roll 20 in Lag Force's performance. How will Lag Force do against Team Freedom? But Team Freedom does not seem to be letting up the least bit.
They are showing Lag Force the hatred of being 3-0'd by Roll 20 at their first series back at HGC. But finally, heroic abilities are here for Lag Force, and if there was ever a time to get out and try to find a way to get back in this game, it is right now. They can't bank on the next Shrine being up and away for them to have the same talent tier. But if I know Lag Force, they may just be willing to fight without their 13s anyway.
They may be willing to. There's going to be the expulsion zone dropped from iDream. The shielding is used. Sanctification dropped from Zuno, but that is a brilliantly timed vault. That was 3 heroics, and now Team Freedom is turning this on to Lag Force. They dropped the beat. They've got the hunt. iDream's the focus. Nobody going down quite yet. Good force wall here on to Zuna, thanks to his level 4 and his Q. He's going to make it out just fine.
The Sanctification, and then Reign of Vengeance timing, and then the vault afterward from Nasmus, making the plays. Yet again, now Team Freedom are 13 and can get back out and get aggressive. They're looking to take down as many front walls as they can, push in, push their advantage, and we'll see if they push further than this, trying to take out the fort. They still have the camp. The camp is nice and healthy, but a shrine is activating behind this.
One thing we also have to highlight is the fact that Illidan is a type of hero that can constantly keep pressure up against cooldown-dependent teamfight compositions. And sadly, with Lag Force having the Tyrael and B-Kid onto the Malthael, both of those are very, you know, heroic dependent heroes between that Sancted Tormented Souls. And every window where you see those going off at the same time, which you can assume is going to be almost all game, Illidan and all the members of Team Freedom are far more dominant, far more controlling. Even Chromie is rather cooldown dependent. It just, these small windows where Team Freedom can gain an upper hand, and so far they've been able to do so throughout this whole game, and part of the reason we find them with that early keep.
They got the early keep. They're also doing a great job of making sure to take down the fort prior to getting the Punishers, so this again will go directly to the keep structures. Look for them to do the same thing they did before, right? Sidewall and get the setup.
There it is. Who wants to move through now? Tyrael is going to be the one who wears the hook. So if Zungrug is next leveling, he's going to be looking where Zuna is baiting the Q, and he waits till the Punisher leaps over. Zuna's going to teleport to the Q, and then you hook him in. Watch. There's the Q. Move forward. Hook. And then you try to get the hook afterwards. Zuna just out of range. He gets it.
They got him.
He does it.
He's gorged right now. Kier leading the charge to make sure that nobody gets there, but he'll hunt back out of the base just to make sure to take out Tyrael as the first kill of this fight.
Tumser has no ability to ancestral himself, but Kier actually showing a bit of mercy here, or a bit more focus fire, splitting off. They're going to concern more onto the keep and onto the members of Lag Force here. Idrim was the focus for a minute. Punisher lead comes off cooldown in about 4 seconds. No follow-up. Team Freedom gets the second keep, and they walk away.
This whole game, Kira has been like a kid in a candy store. Just like, what's over here? Now I'll go after this. Now I'm gonna go back to the shrine. But wait, all of a sudden we've got a gorge. I'll just hunt back in here. Don't worry, guys. We can get the follow-up still, even though we've got the force wall and everything else. We've got boops. We've got Rain of Vengeance. I'm gonna make sure that I'm in here for the fight too. He's all over the place.
Luckily, Collusion's on the right support for that playstyle. You know, he can run around just as fast. Accelerando, scoot on in. Make sure he's there to be able to get that supporting. But there has been no miscommunication between Collusion and the initiations from Cure without having a major burst support behind you. And with the comp that we saw developed out of Lag Force, you could very easily assume a lesser team would be struggling in that department. But Team Freedom, they are not. By the way, that cleanse from Tomster was the only reason that initiation didn't happen. Granted, getting a Stitches hook onto Zuna traditionally is pretty profitable for the Lag Force.
Chilling out with a 3-level lead and some Khazra camps. Hook Gorge, speeding away. Goodbye, Zuna.
Rain of Vengeance 1, Q on out. He has Sinks, he's going to use it. That's a lot of cooldowns. Malthael actually blocked by that force wall. He goes in, he Tormented Souls ripping through the HP.
But
Team Freedom, though, is healing on up.
Yeah, the sound barrier was very good from that. Tyrael's the first to fall, and Kier wants to continue the chase, going in after big impact. There's no timeout, there's no bye-bye. It will be bye-bye, but in a different manner.
B-Kid now trying to teleport away. He's not going to make it away. Top Keep has 3 catapults built. Bottom has got 2. I mean, what else to say other than Lag Force here? I don't even think you can use lag as a justification for this kind of performance. Team Freedom is just dominating them.
The composition that Team Freedom runs well, made even faster by Lucio. I never thought about the Gorge Lucio speed capabilities. Another keep falls, and Lag Force have a naked core.
I know this is maybe not what you want to hear, but even with the core being that low, I mean, Team Freedom, 13 minutes into the game with a Punisher, like, Punishers don't end the game very well. The reason why Infernal Shrines last as long as it does is this is, I mean, honestly, other than Cursed at the early game because the minions scale so poorly, the worst map objective in terms of relative strength compared to heroes.
I think Freedom just want any reason to fight.
To battle.
Yeah. The defense of the Punisher is reason enough to fight, and if they get this fast enough, it'll be without 16s.
So who is going to be the lucky winner who gets the hunt? That's what I'm considering here. Without the defenses onto the Chromie, I feel like that is going to be the interest Zugreg's going to open with the Gorge. They're not going to all in that target, but then Illidan as they all funnel through. That's when I expect Kira to dive on in. Team Freedom, they're on to the core. The Punisher's here too. Zuna's going to dodge the Punisher leap. Sound barrier drop. The shielding on the core is already gone. Team Freedom is not going to get distracted here by the members of Lag Force. They are just going to end this game. 14 minutes and 23 seconds in very dominant fashion. The only thing you couldn't claim for Team Freedom in that game was the fact that they didn't not die.
Well, they did until they all into the core.
Yeah, and then there was some punishment there at the very end, which, yeah, you know, the core helped out splash damage, but...
My KDA!
Please, Blizzard, help. Help my stat padding by making the damage on the core not kill me, or at least not go into our statistics.
Unfortunately, for those two, who died? We gotta know who had the deaths.
Nasmus and Zugrug will be. Don't worry. Afterwards, we wrap up here. I'll go home. I'll make sure that those stats don't go in because, let's be real here, you just don't deserve being put down by the core like that.
How dare it? How dare the core? Well, Team Freedom, man, super dominant. Nice to see them be able to come back, bounce back very quickly after their loss versus Roll20. But as I'm sure you are about to say, it's a composition that they knew how to play really well. The only change up there is the Lucio.
I was going to be like, but we could remember, you know, consider the map, but then I thought about it, and we talked about Battlefield of Eternity was banned out, and that was actually the best map chance for Lag Force. So there you go. That's what it looks like on the best map. I feel like it can only get better from here, which is, I mean, that's a good thing, right?
You know what else is a good thing? Cheers. Let's look at the top 5 cheering people, users for Team Freedom.
I like that one.
Pretty darn savvy.
How have I not known that one before? That is an absolutely 10 out of pretty darn savvy. Can we have him on everyone? Pretty darn savvy at the top here for Team Freedom.
For those of you who are Lag Force fans, we should hopefully by next weekend have the ability to cheer for Lag Force ready. I know you guys will be pumped for that one. I'm pumped for that one. I want to be cheering for this team. Who are you cheering for today? I'm cheering for KO. I called him out earlier, so I feel bad. KO, hearts to you. I'm cheering for you today.
I'm cheering for whoever's against KO because, I mean, Funyuns, you know? Hey, there we go.
Well, Lag Force now down 1 game. Do you think they're going to choose Battleground at this point, or are they going to stick with their first pick that they've been doing?
I hope they go with Battleground, but I think they'll probably kind of go with the norm. Most of the teams seem to be in that case. A lot of it comes down to how optimistic are you on your chances of winning, right? And if not, then you kind of go to your old patterns. You kind of accept your fate and go through with the things the way that they would unfold. So because of that and the, you know, dominance that Team Freedom just displayed here, I feel like they're going to just go back and kind of just go through the motions.
Dred, do you think we're going to see a lot more Lucio? Because I have missed this support quite a lot. And we have the health and health regen changes. He's peeking in here and there, playing some music, dropping a beat here and now and again.
I feel like the answer to that is going to be yes, but only after another region proves it. Lucio is... North American supports are the least likely to pick something due to that doesn't gain immediate value. So if it doesn't look like a Twilight Dream, right, where when you hit the R, you know the immediate impact that Malfurion had onto that team fight. Most of the time, if it isn't very clear and it is a large amount of value, we just don't prioritize it. And Lucio, through movement speed, is that guy. The same way Medivh, he has direct value into the team, but you don't see it at first glance. You just see the portal on the ground. You don't realize the ins and outs is legitimately like a game-breaking like innovation to a team fight. Same with Lucio, just not near to the same degree. And so with that element, I feel like we would wait until some other region, specifically Korea or Europe, come in and be like, Lucio's the hot, and then we'll be like, okay, we can Lucio.
Well, what I adore about the pick versus Malthael is that Sound Barrier is just shielding. So yes, he's giving that healing, but if you need to make sure that you're getting through the Tormented Souls with Touch of Death, Shield's a great way to do so. Game 1 was on Infernal Shrines. Game